Welcome to another Harrier tutorial. This time we're going to be looking at Laser Mavericks and both the E and L model. Hopefully beginners can use this, but it's really aimed at those who are already familiar with the Harrier. And I'm going to be looking at various methods of getting multiple Mavericks off the rail in a single pass. Part 1, we'll look at the E model. Part 2, the L model, and Part 3, moving targets with the L model. So let's make a start. Welcome aboard this Royal Navy AV-8B Harrier with service from HMS Invincible to the Marianas. We are currently approaching our IP and ask that you fasten your harness and secure your weapons. Okay, so let's start a gentle roll and turn on the autopilot to orbit around the IP. So that's done. Let's now check in with the forward air controller and see what targets they have.
Moonbeam 1-1. This is Pontiac 2-1-1-1 nautical southwest of IP Mazda at 16,000. Armed with AGM-65E. Playtime is 0 plus 15. Available for tasking. What do you have for us? Pontiac 2-1. This is Moonbeam 1-1. Type 2 in effect. Advised and ready for 9 line. Ready to copy. Line is as follows. 1, 2, 3, NA, 7, feet, MSL. Tanks, Bravo, Quebec, 4, 7, 6, 8, 9, 3. Marked by laser, 1, 6, 8, 8. South, 250 meters. Troops in contact. Egress, south.
A flashing message has just appeared on the HUD which confirms that the forward air controller has transferred the data to our CAS page via data link. Opening the CAS page cancels that message.
Ready to copy remarks. Request AGM-65E.
We have a confirmed target, so let's arm our weapons. It's good to have a standardised procedure so you don't forget a step. I start with Master Arm on, air to ground master mode, select the weapon, then arm the weapon if needed. For Mavericks, there is no arming step, but it does take 30 seconds to warm them up.
7, Bravo, Quebec, 4, 7, 6, 8, 9, 3. Read back correct. Report IP inbound. Pontiac 2-1, IP inbound. Pontiac 2-1, continue.
Let's quickly head back to the IP and set the CAS target as a target of opportunity. So from the CAS page we hit use and we'll change the ID to 1 on the UFC and hit enter. The EHSD will now turn red to show we're in data entry mode, and if we just hit data it will accept the update. We can now use waypoint increase to select T1 and then hit designate. Quickly ripple firing Laser Mavericks is far from straightforward as the missiles are very slow. This means that the second, third and fourth rounds can actually pass and even overtake the first missile, especially if you're flying fast. I'll demonstrate that a little bit later on. In addition, they are not fire and forget and need to be guided all the way to the target. This means that if you simply fire each missile with say a 4-second gap, by the time they reach the target they'll have all bunched up and you won't have time to redesignate. Realistically, you can normally do 2 per pass, 3 if you're good, but hitting 4 targets with a single pass is exceedingly difficult unless you turn completely off target. So we're going to head in as fast as we can, and after the first missile we're going to try and bleed off as much energy as we can, and the closer and slower we get, the less of a problem this is. Let's ask the controller to laser target.
Pontiac 2-1, laser on. Laser on. Blazing.
And we can uncage the Maverick. You can see the seeker head searching for a target, but it won't detect anything until you get to about 10 miles, at which point the tracking X will become a solid dot pointing in the direction of the target relative to the seeker head. Rifle. Throttle back, air brake on, arms out the window, thrust vectoring and some manoeuvring to try and reduce as much speed as possible as fast as possible. Uncage and rifle. Let the speed drop some more. Uncage and rifle again. And one more time, uncage rifle. We have really good separation there between the Mavericks, but even then the air controller will probably struggle to get 4 hits. It actually looks like I'd done enough, but the AI seems to have let me down and gone for the first target. Brilliant. That was the E model Maverick. So now let's take a look at the L model. This is also laser guided, but provides the ability to self-laze, but it can still use an air controller or buddy lasing as well. The Maverick L takes 90 seconds to warm up, so we're going to do that a little bit early. So let's go as usual with master arm on, air to ground master mode, select the weapon, and if you wish you can hit the stopwatch just to count that 90 seconds so you know that you're going to be ready. And I'm going to change the PRF code to 1588 because I know the forward air controller is still in the vicinity using 1688. Unlike the E and F Mavericks, we can now use the T-Pod's laser to mark targets. So we're going to bring up the T-Pod as normal, but we're also going to hit OSB 6 to arm it, and then OSB 9 to select the laser. Here there are other modes, but we might cover those some other time. We have waypoint 2 selected, which is roughly where the targets are located. So we are going to hit designate on the EHSD to slew the T-Pod to that location. And then we'll enter T-Pod mode by using sensor select down twice. I prefer IR view, so that's sensor select right long and then left short to change the field of view. We can now use the TDC and zoom to find our targets and press TDC action to T-pod designate. As these are static targets, I'm going to assign a target of opportunity to each. And to do that, we hit TOO on the UFC and then select a number, or use the defaults and then hit enter. I have some clouds in the way, so I'm just going to jink to one side. That's a little better. And continue to assign each target to a TOO. I previously selected the second vehicle as T2 and T3, so I'm going to correct that now. That's the final target assigned. As you can see, the targets are across my plane of flight. So I'm going to fly to one side to reduce that angle a little, so any missiles in flight don't need to change their flight path quite as much. Okay, we have now circled around to the rear 3/4 of the column, and we can see on the T-pod that there is now far less target separation. As all 4 Mavericks will be launched towards the closest vehicle, attacking from this aspect reduces the degree by which the following missiles must change course. Of course, if there is too much separation, it might not be possible to ripple fire all 4 Mavericks with this method in a single pass, and experience will help you make that judgment. We're passing 15 miles, so let's fire the laser designator. To fire the Mavericks, we can just uncage and wait for a lock. However, if we want to see the Maverick display, we can press sensor select forward long first, and I'll demonstrate this just for the first Maverick. Sensor select forward, uncage. Rifle, full power, uncage. Rifle, uncage. Rifle, uncage. Rifle. Already the missiles have grouped and are starting to separate again, with the last Maverick fired taking the lead. I'm zooming out a little to try and catch the missile coming in to give us a fraction extra time to hit next waypoint. If we zoom out too much, it will not show on the MFD, and if it's too close, there is no advantage. Next waypoint. Next waypoint. Next waypoint. And 4 targets destroyed in reverse order. This is the final demonstration of this tutorial, and here we're going to look at moving targets. We're going to fly in hot, like in the second demonstration. However, getting 4 direct hits will be extremely difficult here, as we have to manually acquire the targets with the TDC. So the best we can hope for is 2 or 3 direct hits. If you are attacking 4 targets, you probably want to start fast and then slow down, as we did in the first demonstration. But let's see how we do. We're at our RP, so let's turn towards our target waypoint where we know that there are moving targets in the general area. Let's pop on our autopilot to reduce the workload, and let's start to prepare our Mavericks as usual by master arm on, air to ground master mode, select the weapon, and I'm going to start the timer so we know that the 90-second warm-up is complete. Again, when you select a Laser Maverick, the PRF is displayed, which you can change from the UFC, not forgetting to press enter. And you can also change the PRF by going into DMT, selecting code, and then entering the new code from there. So let's bring up the T-pod again, and we'll prime the laser as did last time with OSB 6 and then 9. Now we're going to slew the T-pod to waypoint 2 using designate on the EHSD. Enter T-pod mode with sensor select down twice, and then IR mode with sensor select right long, and then left short to change field of view. We can now use a TDC and the zoom buttons to acquire our targets. And there they are. On the OSB 20 position, you can see AR displayed. This is area track and is the default and used for fixed targets. Pressing this button cycles to point track and then moving track. Currently, point and moving track have the same functionality in DCS, so we can use either. We need to manually track the target using the TDC until it gets a lock, which is indicated by a box around the target, at which point tracking will be automatic and should be maintained so long as something doesn't obstruct the line of sight for several seconds or more. You should get a lock somewhere around the 15-mile mark, so let's just fast forward quickly. We can see on the stopwatch that we're past 90 seconds, so the Mavericks are now warmed up and ready to fire. And there we have the lock at 14 miles. As you can see, it's automatically tracking with no input from me. So we're going to pick up a little bit of speed just to give our first Maverick a little bit more energy to give that extra range. as we're a little bit low and slow, we're not going to launch until we get to about the 10-mile mark. Okay, we'll fire our laser, then sensor select forward long, uncage, and rifle. Go to maximum power and uncage. Rifle, uncage. Rifle, uncage. Rifle. As before, the four Mavericks should be overtaking each other as we've been accelerating towards a target. Changing field of view or zooming out too far can break the lock, so just be a little bit careful. Shack and quickly try to reacquire the next target with a TDC. We've got lucky there, as it looks like that Maverick has taken out two targets, and I think that the last two Mavericks launched didn't have enough separation and both actually hit the first vehicle. I think that's probably as good a result as you could hope for. So that concludes the three use cases. I'm going to head back to the carrier, and the bar is closing in 10 minutes, so I'm going to have to get a wriggle on. So, thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.